Hello, and welcome to the Christmas episode of Geek-Minded Fools. My name's Graham.
And I'm Scott.
We will kick off, as usual, with a visit to Santa in his monkey farm grotto.
Hey, partners, it's time to see what Scott's doing down on his monkey farm.
Would you like to fondle my sack?
Again,
yeah. It's not Christmas without you getting your hands on my sack. Oh, it's all gone carry on, isn't it? No. Welcome, sir, as always, to the monkey farm. What have I got for you this week? I'm going to rattle through these pretty quickly this week.
Boom, let's do it.
Because it's Christmas. And I want to talk
I
want to talk about Christmas. All right, so this week I've got a little bit of Defenders news as to where that's going to go. All right, I've got a bit of Bat news for you, and I've also got some Captain America style news.
Oh, okay.
So, without further ado, the showrunner has been announced for the upcoming Iron Fist TV show, which obviously is going to follow on from Daredevil, which we loved so much.
We did.
Jessica Jones, which we thought was all right.
Meh.
And Luke Cage, which we're still yet to see. But
yes.
Iron Fist showrunner will be Scott Buck, who comes off of the great show Dexter. Well, at least half a great show anyway.
Yes, let's hope he was involved in the first half rather than the latter half.
Yes, because quite frankly, we all know how shit that fucking turned out, don't we?
Oh, crap ending.
One thing that does kind of worry me a little bit.
I know there's a storm coming, but I'm just going to take this dead body. Is that all right?
Is that right?
Everyone?
You mind? You like that, don't you? Yeah. One thing that does worry me a little bit about Iron Fist is the fact that we had Daredevil, whose powers were obviously given to him accidentally.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones, also an accident.
Yeah.
Luke Cage, an experiment.
Yeah.
And Iron Fist punched the heart of a dragon.
Boom!
I don't get it. I just don't get it. But hopefully Scott Buck does get it and will run this show with aplomb.
This is it. At least it does go to show that they're going ahead with it, because when Jessica Jones was waiting to come out, it was rumoured that they were scrapping this and going straight to Defenders, so at least he will get his moment in the sun. Yeah,
it'd be nice to see these four heroes kind of culminate in a Defenders miniseries and see what happens there. Right, what have I got for you now? Look at the speed I'm rattling through this. This is good, isn't it? Pow! Paul Dini has teamed up with Eduardo Risso.
He has.
And I must admit, I'm talking about this like I know all about it.
Like you know,
but it's something that you've actually told me that I wanted to share with our listeners.
Yes.
Okay, Paul Dini has teamed up with Eduardo Risso for a new graphic novel called Dark Knight, A True Batman Story.
Yes.
You've just recently shown me the front cover of this, which I think looks amazing. It does look good. It does look beautiful.
Yes.
121-page book is going to be published in June by Vertigo.
That's right. So, which is obviously DC's adult imprint. So it will have adult themes. Obviously, Paul Dini is the creative force behind the Batman animated series of the 1990s. Obviously, created Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn's daddy, if you like.
Indeed. And effectively based on the fact that he was brutally mugged, and therefore, as a response to that, he's written this tale, which is obviously a little bit Batman influenced, but very much based in the real world. So, be interesting.
I shall very much look forward to it, because I, as you well know, I have been the victim of kind of a mugging, an attack, and I will look forward to seeing.
And that was just me.
And that was just you, yeah, indeed. Trying to get your hands on my sack again, weren't you? What else have we got for you this week? Do you know what? I was actually so interested in that Paul Dini Eduardo Risso story. I've forgotten the news. I've done a Peter O'Hanrahan.
The news gone done left my brain.
You've lost the news, haven't you, Peter?
Civil War 2.
Ah, right, Civil War 2, apparently.
Is there a Civil War 2?
So, the final bit of news this week, again, which you have bravely stepped into the fold and helped out with the Monkey Farm news this week, purely for the fact that, I'm not going to lie to the listeners, I fucked up. I wrote down, lots of things that we could speak about, but they just wouldn't have fit in this episode. So we'll explain that maybe on the bloopers episode.
Hang on, isn't every episode a bloopers episode?
It is when I do them like this, yeah.
Ramshackle.
Ramshackle, that's my middle name. Civil War.
Too much sherry and mince pies.
Too much ram and too much shackle. Civil War is getting a sequel.
The comic book series,
The comic book series, not the film.
No.
As I did briefly believe we were speaking of. Civil War II.
Gone Pete Tong.
Civil War II, Electric Boogaloo,
Yes.
where we will follow on the story of Boogaloo Shrimp.
What the fuck is going on?
No, but seriously, a very much loved graphic novel, Civil War.
Not by me.
Not by you. By me, I did like it. I really enjoyed it.
did.
I did it as a quick hit a few
Not by
episodes
me,
back.
I don't give a shit.
So it's going to get a sequel. Can you tell us any more about it? Because you are the man with the finger on the pulse of the comics world. So
Of course I can.
thank you. Because quite frankly, I'm struggling to keep my head above fucking news water here.
Marvel have seen that there is a movie coming out called Captain America Civil War and have thought, you know what, we need to cash in on this. Why don't we bring out a sequel to our mini-series Civil War of 10 years ago, call it Civil War 2, and anybody who's seen the film will think, do you know what, I fancy buying that comic series, and we'll make even more money.
That is clever.
That is well clever, that
Is
Marvel.
very clever.
And so, yes, they're going to be doing Civil War 2, which will be written by that there Brian Michael Bendis.
I will read it.
Who didn't write Civil War? Obviously, Civil War, the first series, was written by Mark Miller.
Yes. Now, is this going to be released just as a wholesale as a graphic novel, or are they going to release it in parts like they did the original one? Or?
Yeah, I'd imagine much like before, it will be a mini-series that will be brought out probably over 6 to 12 issues.
Do we know when this is actually coming
With
out?
many, many spin-offs.
And many, many covers, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Do we know when this is hitting?
Sometime next year.
Sometime
they
next
said. I'd imagine, obviously, Civil War the movie's coming out in May, so sometime in the summer. I think it's going to be their big summer event.
Okay. Well, I'm going to apologise to our listeners on behalf of my, as we said earlier, ramshackle news hounding this week. But I think I put it down to the fact that I'm very excited because it's Christmas.
Okay.
Will you take my excuse? My reason?
Oh my god.
I'm not even going to tell you to get out of the monkey farm this week. Do you know what? Let's just do the rest of the episode in here because I think it's safer in here.
You don't need to. I'm running for my life out of this place.
It's safer in here.
Right. Thank you, sir. And when I say thank you, I'm putting air quotes around it.
Rabbits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Now we shall move on to this week's Quick Hits.
Quick Hits.
And we shall begin with me.
Yes, let's.
And we decided our Quick Hits this week will be Crimble themed.
Indeed.
And so my one is a movie from 2003, which myself and my wife absolutely love, and it's Bad Santa.
Ah, Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob. Yep, Billy Bob Thornton playing Willie T. Stokes, who is
I can't not laugh
basically
about it.
an alcoholic thief who, alongside his friend Marcus, played by Tony Cox, who is the little black dwarf guy from, I guess, the Foo Fighters breakout video.
Yes, and he's obviously in Me, Myself and Irene, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And yeah, they play a Santa and his elf characters who go into malls and basically rob the places blind when they're in there. So they're almost professional thieves. And Willie is an absolute despicable character, hence the Bad Santa. Also, he loves basically having sex with the mums that he meets when he's Father Christmas, and he runs into a woman called Sue, played by Lauren Graham, and starts a relationship with her. In this movie, he meets a character with the amazing name of Thurman Merman.
Thurman Merman.
Thurman Merman, played by a young kid called Brett Kelly, who's a tubby little loner who's always bullied, and meets Billy Bob and is immediately convinced that he is the real Father Christmas. And Billy Bob Thornton thinks, right, okay, I can use this to my own gains, and follows this kid home thinking he can rob him. But it turns out that Thurman is being brought up by his grandmother because his mother's died and his dad's in prison. And so Billy Bob, rather than suddenly developing the heart, thinks I can use this situation, moves in with him. And it's basically about him taking the piss out of Thurman all the time and generally being a shit and still trying to rob the mall. The mall manager is played by the late, great John Ritter, and the head of security is Bernie Mac, and Bernie Mac is onto them. And
Another late, great.
Indeed, yes, of course.
Did this movie just kill
It
people?
just killed everybody else. And yeah, it's sort of one of those films that you think is going to be end up with the main character who was a shit, suddenly developing a heart of gold and everything, and it's not like that at all. He's just a shit all the way through.
There ain't no redemption song.
Indeed. It's just really funny, very entertaining. I'm sure most of you have seen it, but if you haven't, give it a watch because it's crazy funny.
It is a damn good film. It is a damn good film. Now, sir, for my Christmas quick hit, for my Christmas cracker this episode, 25 years ago, a little film came out which I think the writers and directors didn't really expect to be as much of a hit as it was, but it always sits in my kind of watch list over Christmas, and that is Home Alone.
Yes.
25 years. And I tell you what, I don't think it ages at all. It is a really timeless little film, isn't it?
My kids love it. They have the Home Alone and Home Alone 2 box set, and they love both of them.
They're the only ones you need to worry about, because the rest were all shit.
Well, they were Culkin free.
They were Culkin free, as I think Culkin himself is now. I think he's even Culkin. Have you seen pictures of him lately?
Dreadful, isn't it?
My
Scary.
God. Home Alone basically tells the story, as if you haven't seen it, where have you been? Under a rock, I would imagine. Home Alone tells the story of Kevin McAllister, who is left home alone during the Christmas period.
Kevin!
Kevin, indeed. Yeah. Do you know what? I really do need the loo, and you nearly made it come out then as well. You nearly made me do a poo! For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it too much because it's got so many wondrous moments in it. I'm just going to run through very briefly what an amazing all-star cast it had, because obviously you had Macaulay Culkin, you've got Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as the Wet Bandits, who are just, I just think, probably two of the greatest comedic
great physical
performances.
Comedy. Yeah.
And reading up on the film as well, knowing what sort of movies Pesci had made before and how free he is with his potty mouth. Chris Columbus and John Hughes, when they were kind of on set with him, every time Marv has one of his little freakouts, he often would sort of like go into the F word and say, "Oh, fuck," and they had to train him to say the word fridge instead of fuck. I think that's absolutely brilliant. There were so many actors that they could have chosen for those two roles, and why they put Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci together,
Daniel Stern,
the huge gangly Daniel Stern next to the tiny little Joe Pesci, but what a great comedy double act.
Doesn't it work? Yeah.
They are brilliant. And it's also, I think, for my money, probably one of the most violent Christmas movies ever made.
Yes, but of course it's very Tom and Jerry violence, isn't it?
We say that. We say it is because that's how we would refer to it, isn't it? It is Tom and Jerry violence. But if kids watching this now, who might not have seen Tom and Jerry, it's fucking violent, isn't it?
It is very violent.
So you've got iron in the face.
Yeah.
You've got oil on the floor, then nail for the foot.
Tins of paint over the stairs.
Tins of paints over the stairs. Branding on the hand.
Indeed.
In fact, do you know what? I think there's one particular booby trap that they set up that it was either John Hughes or Chris Columbus said that they wanted taken out because it wasn't in keeping with the rest of them. It's still in there, but it's when he gets tarred and feathered. Mm-hmm. They wanted to take that one out because they just felt it wasn't violent enough. It's like, wow, have you not put these guys through enough? Obviously,
the blowtorch on the head.
Blowtorch on the head as well, and it's brilliant because he does get tarred and feathered, and the two little wings end up on his hat, and he actually looks like a little Thor, doesn't he?
I bet he was a little Thor.
I bet he was. Oh, it was his hands that were Thor. Oh, these are just shit writes itself. Fortunate, really, this week. Do you know what? So much so, I'm turning the iPad off. There's no point in looking at that for help anymore. But yeah,
Solo.
25 years ago, Home Alone hit, and I think it made such a massive impact on not just kids' films, but family films. It kind of changed the landscape for how those films were perceived, and they were more acceptable for, maybe teens to watch and sort of still enjoy, as long as, along with their 10-year-old little brother sort of thing. Just absolutely racked full of great performances as well, as I say. Kate O'Mara, is it?
Catherine
O'Hara. Absolutely. Where the fuck is Kate O'Mara coming from? God, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. I've never been this fucked up on an episode. But it is absolutely racked with great performances anyway. Obviously, you've got the late, great John Candy's in there as well.
Briefly, yes.
Very, very briefly.
John Hurd as the dad.
Who's
the guy who plays the neighbour, the old guy with the beard? He's really good as well. The one who they're terrified of because Buzz tells him
Mr. Marley, isn't it?
That he kills people and buries them in his
with the snow shovel thing. Yeah, and he actually turns out to be a
lovely
old man, doesn't he? Not at all rapey.
Who Kevin helps by telling him to speak to his estranged son.
That's right.
Yes.
On the whole, yeah, I mean, to tell you too much about any of the scenes in it would spoil it if you haven't seen it. But
I can't believe anybody listening hasn't seen it.
No, I was going to say, those of you who haven't seen it, you must have lived under a rock. Yes. So if you get like an hour and a half, 2 hours free over Christmas, sit down and watch Home Alone, because it is a great Christmas movie.
It is indeed.
Enjoy.
Well done.
Thank you.
And now we shall move on to this week's main topic.
When they got the bar, you know they won't drop it. The Geek-Minded fools discuss the main topic.
Right, now it's time for our main topic, as it were, sir, which is Christmas. So we've all seen A Christmas Carol, yes?
We have.
And we know that...
I have.
There's only 2 of us here, so that makes 2 of us. So we've all seen Christmas Carol, so we know the basic premise of the ghosts of Christmas past, present and future, yes?
Yes.
I thought it would be nice for us to do something along those sort of lines, where we are going to have a little chat about things that we loved from Christmas past, things that we're looking forward to that are going to be in Christmas present, and then things that we might change in a possible Christmas future.
Oh.
Entertainment viewing wise, yes?
Ah, okay.
Alright, so this is all very off the cuff, as you probably have worked out already, listeners. This is not an episode we've just cobbled together. We have spoken about this previously, but...
it just seems like an episode we've cobbled together.
Yeah, it would appear that both Graham and myself have been struck down today with the power of... stupidity and bowel evacuation, it would appear, because we've both had to take a brief moment from recording just to completely open up on the world. So I'm just going to dive straight in there, with the subject, obviously, not the bowel evacuation. Yes. My Christmas past... Okay, sir. So this is going to run in a very similar way, I think, to how we do our quick hits, usually.
Okay.
Obviously, born in 76, so by the time, I was kind of conscious of anything that was going to flood through to me entertainment-wise, I was probably around about 8 or 9, maybe a little bit older.
Yep.
So I've picked a number of things that really do mean Christmas to me. Firstly, Christmas past was always about Trivial Pursuit to me when I was little. Even though I never really understood the questions, I always loved the idea of the game. And I do vividly remember my mum buying like the junior edition of Trivial Pursuit and playing that over Christmas for hours upon hours on end with a bunch of very, very bored adults because the questions were too easy for them. But it's not just about games, it's about, for me, and I think it's probably evident to all our listeners, that I am very, very entertainment based. It's where my interest lies. I love my movies and I love my TV shows. Otherwise, we wouldn't make this bloody show, would we?
Indeed not, sir.
So one of my most go-to movies, I think, in Christmas past would have been, I feel, probably one of Bill Murray's finest moments, and that is Scrooged.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be said that there weren't other great movies out there at the time. Around the 80s period, we had things like Santa Claus the movie. That there was always going to be an Only Fools and Horses Christmas special. Gremlins is right up there. Not right up there, but Gremlins is right up there. But to me, Scrooged is the one.
There's nothing right up there.
Not anymore. My God, it's like Wookiee Hole. Not that kind of Wookiee. But for me, the one that really, really sticks in my mind most about my Christmas past is just the hundreds upon times I must have watched Scrooged. Now, for those of you, again, if you haven't seen Scrooged, you do need to see it. Obviously, with Bill Murray taking on the role of Scrooge here, not obviously named Scrooge, because we've got a modern retelling. We now have Frank Cross, who is the head of a very big TV network. And the film itself centres around a Christmas special that they're going to be putting out, which just looks awful. The Christmas special looks terrible. There's little moments in it where you can tell how much of a Scrooge, if you like, Frank Cross is, because there's a brilliant moment with him talking to one of the set handlers. He's holding a mouse and he's advising the guy to staple antlers onto it, so they can have these tiny little...
because this is going to be a live version of A Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve, isn't it?
There's a brilliant moment where he shows his staff the trailer that they're going to put out for this Christmas special, and it's just horrifying. I think it says something along the lines of, if you don't see this Christmas, then you'll die, and all that sort of nonsense. But it is a brilliant retelling of A Christmas Carol with, again, a brilliant cast in it. Bill Murray, Karen Allen. One of my biggest crushes, Carol Kane.
Carol Kane, indeed.
Even in the Addams Family, I quite crush on Carol Kane.
Michael J. Pollard.
And for me, one of the real standouts in it, I think, is Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yes.
He's absolutely brilliant. He is so good in it. He's so good at playing the downtrodden, put-upon staff member, Frank Cross's staff member, who gets sacked on Christmas Eve, doesn't he? That is my Christmas past. Sir, what to you spells Christmas?
Well, certainly growing up as a kid, if I think back to Christmases, apart from the tense family silences, I always think of having Christmas lunch in our dining room, sort of the back room, and then always having to finish by 3 o'clock and going into the lounge and watching the Queen's speech and then whatever the big film of the day was.
Yeah.
And of course, because it was the day before Sky and Sky Movies and what have you, it was always a premiere that, you know, you'd never seen it before. And of course, this was also in the day before video, so most of the time it was a film you'd never seen before unless you'd seen it at the cinema.
So you'd pour through the Radio Times.
Absolutely,
and,
yes.
like, circle the ones you wanted.
This is it, yes, which I still do.
Do you really?
I do.
Oh, bless you.
I am very sad. To me, getting the TV pages, the 2-week TV pages for Christmas, is such a highlight for me, and I immediately go through and write down everything that I want to watch.
Do you circle them? Do you circle or you just write them down?
I actually write them down.
Oh, I think that's very sweet, because I think you're probably one of the few people who does still do that. And that is...
I probably am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably the only person, really, that refuses...
Do you want to know something really sad?
Go on. Tell me something really sad.
Wait there, listeners.
Graham is now moving away. It's our chance to talk about... Oh, no. Coming back. Here he comes. He has
a black and red book. Okay. So we start to go through this black and red book, and we see Christmas 2007.
This just proves you're a hoarder. This looks like a ledger of insanity.
It is just Christmas 2008.
Listeners, what I'm being shown here...
Christmas 2011.
...can only be described as worrying.
Christmas 2012. Christmas 2013. Christmas 2014.
And I see those little ticks next to the shows. Does that just so you know you've watched them?
No, that means that I put it on the Sky Planner to record it.
So you have embraced technology a little bit, but there's still very much your Christmas past.
Because, of course, the thing is, this is 2 weeks worth of programmes. Of course, you can only put the next week on your planner. Okay. So as I move through it, I tick to say, right, okay, I want to watch that, and that's now on the planner to record. So that book has done me for years and years, and for some reason, I always used to use that book for everything. As you can see, it's the ramblings of a madman. Yeah. But it's almost become, write down your Christmas stuff in there. That's how sad I am.
Do you know what? I think that's... I genuinely don't think that's sad. I think that's really, really quite beautiful that you've still stuck to the old way of doing things.
The old ways.
The old ways are the best ways.
They are
indeed.
But anyway,
yes.
So that was always Christmas for me. I would say, in terms of Christmas presents, when I look back, obviously, as a kid, you get various toys which you inevitably grow out of and sort of start to think, why the hell did I get that? But one present I always loved, and I can remember enjoying it so much on Christmas Day and in subsequent days and in subsequent years, and something I still have, is a book that, funny enough, I was flicking through when you came back into the room earlier. It's a private eye book called Another Batch of Boobs. And what it is, it's cock-ups from newspapers and what have you. This was the second book. They always used to do them every year. And it is absolutely hilarious. It's either misspellings or just silly things like, I mean, for example, there's a headline here that says, police say detective shot man with knife.
Very much from The Guardian.
Says, Sir Edward Brown, MP, attended a coffee morning given by Newbridge Ward Conservatives at 11 Combe and stole £39.
And obviously Private Eye is still going very strong today.
Absolutely. So and it is one of those books that you just flick through and absolutely kill yourself laughing. It is just... There's some classic stuff in here, says he, desperately flicking through trying to find something you can read out.
While you do that, I'm going to let you know what my favourite of all-time Christmas present was when I was a child.
Go on then.
And it genuinely was, and this is not just because of current releases at all. My very, very favourite... While I'm trying to tell you, listeners, what my favourite is, Graham keeps holding up pages of this book that he's got, and I'm desperately trying not to giggle my fucking arse off.
Man in Thames had a drink problem. London's new Lord Mayor goes for youth.
Oh, bless you. Highbrow humour indeed, but you are so easily pleased. So my very, very favourite of all Christmas presents that I ever received was, and I remember opening it, I remember unboxing it, and I remember it probably was the first time as a child that I cried a little bit when I got something because I was so thankful and so grateful for it. And all it was a piece of plastic. It was only a toy, but I had wanted it for so long, and I did get Boba Fett's Slave One.
Oh, yes.
By Kenner Toys. That was also the same year that my brother thought it was going to be a great idea to get this, and I mean a huge, huge box. And he had wrapped this box, and I thought, wow, this is going to be an amazing present. And it was probably about yay high, so I don't know what, 4 foot high. I tried to move it, and it was very, very heavy. And I remember leaving it till the very last gift to open on that particular day, and opened it up, and my brother had got me, yep, that's right, 4 bricks.
Oh,
and it was more a present for him than anyone else because he giggled his arse off for the entire of Christmas, and I hated him for the rest of Christmas.
The rest of his life.
What a tit.
Oh, bless.
Yes, indeed. So, rest of the episode now is cancelled as Graham has been trapped into reading his book from Christmas past.
It says here, Detective Inspector Roy Penrose said in a statement read to the court that a booklet advertising artificial male organs was found by the police at Miss Jones's home in May. They also found a vibrating device hidden inside a poof.
I love the word poof. Oh, I do love the word poof.
There's also a great one, which I can't find, sadly enough, that was probably my favourite one in all of them, where it was talking about a policeman who was struggling with an assailant he'd managed to catch. And it said the assailant then kneed the constable in the testicles. Both then fell to the ground. And that probably still remains my favourite, which is sad when you're a kid, but, you know, to not think of your toys you had. But yeah. I just love that bit, and I still read it, and it still makes me cry. We got ourselves a reader. Got ourselves a reader. What you reading for?
I don't know, so I don't have a fucking waffle waitress like you.
So, yes, that's my favourite. In terms of entertainment, I am reminded about a time just before Christmas. It would have been
July,
early 80s, and I can remember being off school and sitting at home. I was in the house on my own. It was a weekday afternoon, bored, flicking around the channels, and coming across a black and white film, and something happened that caught my attention, which was there was some boys sliding down a hill on ice, sitting on shovels.
Okay.
And one overshot and went onto some ice and fell through the ice into the water, and the other boys pulled him out, and I thought, oh, what's this? And I watched the rest of it, and what I hadn't realised was that I'd actually started watching that film about 3 minutes after the start, and so I ended up watching the rest of the film. And as a young teenager who, you know, was into my shit and old shit didn't really matter, it opened my eyes to so much. And all I remember is in several points in that film being in absolute floods of tears at how brilliant this film was. And it remains to this day one of my favourite films of all time. It's a great film in its own right, but it's a great Christmas film. I pretty much watch it every year, and that is Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life, starring James Stewart and Donna Reed. And
it is the Christmas movie, isn't it?
That, to me, is Christmas. Watching that film, it's just wonderful. And I've spoken of it before, and I know probably when we talk about stuff, I always talk about how stuff is poignant and touching and life-affirming and that sort of stuff. And I think I enjoy that. I think I'm one of those people who, I'm quite a cynical shit, and I like to be reminded that
there's humanity in all of us.
Within my heart of stone, you know, there is actually some blood pumping around. And so just watching that film, it is such a life-affirming film. It's wonderful, and it gets me every time. And to me, that film is Christmas. So
I think they should show that film on loop in all prisons, just to rehabilitate people.
Maybe so.
I reckon it would work.
Maybe so.
Maybe so, eh?
So that's my Christmas past.
Well, that's our ghosts, if you like, albeit very nice ghosts of Christmas past out of the way.
Yep.
So let's come smack bang up to date and talk about our Christmas present. Yes. Not presents, our Christmas present. So for me, sir, there's only one thing really that I am looking forward to TV-wise. Mm-hmm. There is one thing that I will be watching just because I know I'll end up watching it, and there's one thing that I'm going to seek out to find a cinema to see it in. So for me, and I would imagine, I think you're a fan as well, New Year's Day, Sherlock.
Oh, of course. No, I knew you were going to do this when I looked through the TV pages.
Yep. When I looked through the TV pages, when I was circling it with me marker pen. Sherlock, New Year's Day, The Abominable Bride.
Yep.
Which is all very much Victoriana, isn't it? It's set in Victorian England, so they're going back to the roots of the character, giving these two actors a chance to play them, I suppose, as they were originally written.
Yep.
Which I think is going to be bloody awesome. I like Mr. Cumberbatch, I like Freeman, so...
Now,
yes.
I've watched every episode of Sherlock and thoroughly enjoyed it. I would say the last series, the 3-part they did, kind of went off the boil a bit. I didn't enjoy it as much. And I have to say, the problem with Sherlock is it comes out so infrequently. Yeah. You lose your love for it a little bit, and therefore, whilst I will watch it, it's not something I'm super excited about. I'll probably watch it and thoroughly enjoy it, but it's like, sort of one of those things that comes around so infrequently. They do say absence makes the heart grow fonder, whereas I'm probably the other way round.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think the only reason I am so excited for it is because they've really spun it on its head, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be an interesting take.
Yeah,
yes.
and I like the idea of that.
Because, of course, Cumberbatch does make a very unique modern-day Holmes, and therefore it'll be interesting to see how they can apply his take on the character to...
the Victorian setting.
To the Victorian version.
Yeah, I mean, his current iteration of the character is very much, not reliant, but very much uses technology around him, doesn't he? So to see him without that technology and how he's going to kind of use the tools around him is going to be interesting, I think. We spoke about this actor very briefly on the way to record today. I will watch Jingle All the Way over Christmas, purely for the fact it wouldn't be Christmas without hearing Arnie saying, "Put the cookie down," and it's just a great film. I really enjoy Jingle All the Way. But Christmas present this year, I am so excited
about Krampus.
Yeah. I am genuinely so excited about it. It just looks like exactly the sort of movie that I've been waiting for a long time. We haven't had anything that I would say has filled the Gremlins void over Christmas. Because Gremlins is a Christmas movie, I think. It's set during Christmas.
It is, right?
And I think Krampus is going to be that movie now to kind of, not replace Gremlins, but it's of the same ilk, I feel, from what I've seen in the trailers. I just can't wait. I just think it looks absolutely brilliant. Every single time I see the trailer, I get a little bit more excited. So I'm going to try and go and see that, hopefully, if I can, over Christmas.
Good.
And I assure you I will not be doing anything naughty and streaming it. I will go and sit in a cinema, because I like to go to the cinema over Christmas. I like to go to the cinema on New Year's Day, actually. Okay. So yeah, that's me for Christmas present. That's what will be on my watch list.
Excellent.
And you, sir?
For me, as I say, I went through the TV pages, and I'd say on the whole, a little bit underwhelming this year. A couple of things I'm looking forward to because of the kids. And I would say that one thing, obviously, we all enjoy Christmas when we're young. Then you grow up, you get a bit more cynical. But having kids and rediscovering that magic through their eyes is great.
Yeah.
And, Stickman, which is the latest offering from Julia Donaldson, who did The Gruffalo and Room on the Broom and that sort of thing. The latest animated offering that's out on Christmas Day, Stickman. And my son loves the book. My daughter loved the book when it was out. They've watched the previous ones and loved them. We got them all on DVD. And yeah, I think that'll be fun to watch with them. Also, you've got another adaptation of a David Walliams novel. This one is Billionaire Boy. Previously we've had Gangster Granny and something else, but
which have been very successful, his books, haven't they?
They have, and my daughter loves them. She thinks they're absolutely superb. And so, yeah, as soon as I told her there was an adaptation of Billionaire Boy, she's looking forward to that. So again, it's the sort of thing, it's nice to sit down and experience something with your kids. Yeah. From my perspective, I would say the only thing that sort of jumped out at me and made me think, I can't wait for that, is the annual Charlie Brooker thing, the wipe of the year or the yearly wipe or whatever they're calling it. I always love those. I think Charlie Brooker doing that, and of course the good thing is that normally at the start of every year you get sort of the 6-part weekly wipe series comes back as well. So, but seeing him do a review of the year, just casting his caustic eye over the events of the past 12 months, he's fantastic. I love it, and I would say out of everything, that's the thing that made me go, oh yes, fantastic, can't wait for that.
And that's exactly why I didn't pick it, because I knew you would. There's not enough Charlie Brooker on TV.
No, indeed
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there's not. That's 6 episodes at the beginning of the year is not enough for a talent of his. well, not to say a talent, but someone who is so good at vocalising the thoughts of what must be millions
Absolutely.
of people.
Yeah.
Millions
I mean,
of people have got the same frame of mind.
His books, from his Guardian columns are just essential reads.
Yeah. He's
He's
brilliant.
But of course, he did have a kid a few years ago with Connie Huck, so, chances are he should probably been a good dad.
Yeah.
And
the fact of the matter is, he's married to Connie Huck. Like you'd ever go out again. You wouldn't need to, would you?
So that's me for Christmas present.
Alright, okay, so we've done the past, we've done the present. Now put your mind forward to the future.
Yep.
Now imagine you had control over entertainment over the Christmas period. What would you like to see?
You want me to go first?
I think you should go first, yes.
From a Christmas perspective, if I was in charge of television, what I would do is do away, and this is going to be controversial,
go on,
do away with all the bollocks Christmas specials. I hate Christmas specials. Over the last few years, I would say the one day out of all of Christmas that I record the least on is Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Because to me, both the major channels, and obviously by that I mean BBC and ITV, cater to Middle England.
Yeah.
They cater to the Daily Mail readers. So suddenly it's your Downton Abbey Christmas special, you Call the Midwife Christmas special. Also, you get 2 episodes of EastEnders, you get 2 episodes of Coronation Street. And frankly, what shit like that is doing on Christmas Day, I don't know. Because it's always, somebody dies, somebody runs off, somebody's found out they're pregnant by their dad, and that sort of thing. It's always something horrible. And yet, for some reason, people seem to want to watch that on Christmas Day. Now, call me old-fashioned, but particularly since having kids, I want Christmas Day to be full of, joy and happiness and just some hope, and not just miserable, fucking depressing bullshit, but also not just all these Christmas specials of programmes that you never see the rest of the year, so, when the fuck would Call the Midwife last? Who watches Call the fucking Midwife? It's bollocks, and yet literally from about 6 o'clock at night till about 11 is all these bullshit, and it just annoys me. And I would say do away with all those. Call me old fashioned, but I remember the days when you used to turn on the telly and it was like, come on everybody, it's the Morecambe and Wise Christmas special, and after that it's a great sort of the Paul Daniels Christmas special, and it would be all these Christmas specials for family entertainment, stuff that everybody would watch and everybody could relate to and everybody could enjoy. Keep it funny, keep it magical, keep it whatever.
Keep it light.
But for your relatively small audience that watches Call the it's so middle-aged nonsense. Show me somebody under the age of 50 who watches Call the Midwife, and frankly, I'll show you a cunt. So I would.
Happy Christmas.
Sorry, everyone, and I apologise if we have female listeners who are offended by my language, but that's how I feel.
Yeah. It's
just gone so in some ways soft and ridiculous, but then they bung in these horrible soap episodes which we have to, frankly, normally the only thing I'll watch on Christmas Day is the Doctor Who special because I'm a Doctor Who fan, but frankly, if that went, I wouldn't cry myself to sleep. And like I say, whatever sort of silly animated thing is on, like, the Gruffalo or Room on the Broom or This Year's Stickman and that kind of stuff, that's pretty much all I watch on Christmas Day. The rest of it doesn't interest me, and it's catering to, what I always consider to be the vocal minority, your Daily Mail readers, your fucking middle class, hate-filled, awful people who just watch this mind-rotting drivel. And that's what I would change. But on a non-Christmas related rant as well.
That wasn't a rant.
If I was in control of anything in the future, I'll tell you what I would do.
Go on.
I would take Marvel and DC Comics, which are the 2 main comics publishers for those who don't know, and I would completely eradicate the last 30 years. I would take everything away, because both of those, Marvel recently in the last 3 months, DC in 2011 completely rebooted their universes, so everything changed. They changed the status quo. Characters aren't the same, histories aren't the same, stuff's been rewritten. Spider-Man, my favourite character, has always been poor, struggling for money, always doing the right thing, despite the fact that it has an adverse effect to him. Now he's a billionaire industrialist who has his own global company. Where's the threat to him? Where's the challenge? Where's the hardship for him?
He's no longer an everyman.
No, suddenly, if he needs something, he says, I'll get my R&D team to come up with one of those. So suddenly he has a Spider-Mobile that can drive up the side of buildings and that sort of thing. It's like, he's got webs. Why does he need a car to get himself places? It doesn't make sense. I don't know if you know, but Batman, in the comics, fought Joker to a standstill and ended up with amnesia. So Bruce Wayne is now at home not thinking he's Batman. Batman is now Commissioner Gordon in battle armour.
That's fucking ridiculous.
That's Batman.
That's ridiculous.
Superman, there's two versions. There's a modern day version, which is him in his suit, but obviously without the red pants anymore, who's off shagging Wonder Woman all over the place. But there's an earlier version where he runs about in a Superman logo t-shirt and a pair of jeans and a pair of hobnail boots and just jumps about and saves people like that. It's all gone to hell in a handbasket, but they're doing this with so many of the major characters. They've rebooted the shit out of it, so it doesn't feel like the characters that I fell in love with.
Yeah.
And I kind of look back, and the trouble is my reading list is getting smaller and smaller because I'm just starting to go, do you know what, I can't be arsed with that, I can't be arsed with that. And what I'm actually starting to do is, the money that I would have spent on new comics, I'm actually spending going and rebuying old comics from the 80s and 90s that I used to love. And just rereading those, and you can pick them up dirt cheap on eBay. You know, I bought a great one of 29 Nomad comics for 23 quid, and read them, and it's so much better than anything that's out there today because it's still the character that I loved and enjoyed. And it's almost, you know, they're making change for change's sake. Oh, we need to be different, we need to be new, we need to be unique. You know, it's a new one. How about just going back to your basic characters, telling good stories with good art, keep it entertaining? And I think back to some of the storylines I read in the 80s and 90s, and they were brilliant. And it pains me to see what they're doing with these characters now. So if I had a Christmas wish, it would be scrap your reboots, go back to how you were telling tales 20, 30 years ago. Keep it simple, keep it effective. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And unfortunately, all they've done is change. And it doesn't feel like it's entertaining me or giving me what I want anymore.
Was that cathartic?
A little bit, yes.
It was, wasn't it? Notice how quiet I was there? I just thought, fucking let him go. Let him go. That's my Christmas gift to you.
God love you, sir.
Alright. My Christmas future, and the reason I kind of sat back like that when you started then, you've pretty much hit the nail on the head with what I was going to say. I would do away with all the Christmas specials. I know a couple of our listeners are EastEnders fans. Hello, Matthew Osler. Happy Christmas. I still don't get that. I still don't get why you're so into EastEnders, but you are. Why have misery throughout Christmas?
Isn't life miserable enough without having to watch other people's misery on
someone
telly?
Losing a child, or someone fucking getting hit by a car, or jumping off a building. And now they want to fucking make it even worse by let's do it live. And it's like, fuck off.
And that is all that happens at Christmas. It's always something really horrible happens. You know, a marriage breaks up, a child gets killed. It's all something horrible.
It's never actually anything
on Christmas.
It's never actually anything Christmassy,
no,
is it? The most you see
joyous and celebratory. It's always horrible. Let's all remember how miserable we are.
Yeah. So I'm
on the one day we need to forget.
Exactly. I'm in complete agreement with you on that. So that actually does speed up my little mini rant a little bit. So I don't have to go as deep into it as I was going to, because you've done it for me. A couple of things you didn't mention were things that I would like to get rid of. I'd get rid of the Queen's speech because I find it quite repulsive to have to listen to someone who's absolutely got no worries telling the world, you know, oh, everything's going to be fine, we're all going to have a wonderful year. And it's like, you're going to have a fucking wonderful year, but I'm not going to have such a wonderful year because I haven't got somebody who wipes my arse with raw fucking silk. I'm not sure if she has. I don't think we can get in trouble for that, can we? Let's hope not. My other things that I would like to see Christmas in my Christmas future would be, you hit the nail on the head again, and this does just prove, and I'm glad this does just prove how close we are as friends. Morecambe and Wise, you mentioned. I would like to see a return to shows like that, and there are only two people who can do it. I want Vic and Bob to come back every Christmas and do a Morecambe and Wise style 2-hour nonsense extravaganza.
Absolutely.
And I want that every
just
Christmas.
Silly and fun and entertaining.
Just nonsense. That's what Christmas should be about. It should be, you know, it should just be about absolute sheer idiocy.
I want a Dynamo show where he does stuff that people go, how the fuck did he do that? Stuff that everybody can watch and enjoy that is inclusive rather than being totally exclusive, which is what I think a lot of Christmas telly is at the moment.
There is only one show that I would personally like to put together myself, and I think you'll probably guess from my my mock-up title how this show would go. It's called Scott's Christmas Sleigh. And basically, what Scott's Christmas Sleigh would entail...
Would Ron from The Walking Dead be your first guest?
Yes, he would be on there, definitely. It would be basically about taking all the shitters, all the wankers, all the arseholes, all the dweebs, all the dickheads that we've had to suffer throughout the year, and putting them through a Running Man style game show. Almost like It's a Knockout, but the prize is they get to keep their lives if they get through it. So, you know, I'd like to see people like Simon Cowell and at the moment fucking Donald Trump and people like that. I would love to do this. I really would. We could all have it like an X Factor style show. Yes, man at the back.
Can I vote for Katie Hopkins, please?
Yes, you can have Katie Hopkins. Keep saying her name. We might kill her. Katie Hopkins. But yeah, that's what I'd do. I'd put together Scott's Christmas Sleigh, which would be a Running Man style game show in order to kind of just deal with all the dickheads that we've had to suffer throughout the year.
But in which everybody dies. There is no winner.
There's no winner, but we'll give them a glimmer of hope.
Total slayage.
Total slayage, indeed. That would be my Christmas future, sir.
One thing that I did want to say is I did think, as it's the Christmas episode, I would get you a present for you to open. But then I thought, hang on, but Scott never gets me a Christmas present. You know, just can't be bothered with presents and what have you. So I thought it's going to be a bit one-sided. So what I decided to do instead was give a gift from us.
That's a very nice idea.
On behalf of Geek-Minded Fools. So what I did...
What have you got me then?
I donated, can't remember the exact amount, it was something like £22.93 to Crisis at Christmas on behalf of Geek-Minded Fools, which means we are basically paying for a homeless person to, at Christmas, have a bed for the night, 3 hot meals including a Christmas dinner, a wash, a change of clothes, and basically just getting looked after for a couple of days over Christmas.
That is a beautiful thing, sir.
And I thought, rather than give you something which is probably be some shit you wouldn't need, I've sort of done that on our behalf.
I would rather you do that than give me any more shit I don't need.
There you go.
I'm a little bit taken aback by that, mate, because I didn't know you were going to do that. So that's a beautiful thing to give someone. What was it? 3 hots and a cot.
Yep,
over Christmas.
Absolutely.
And maybe anyone who is still bothering to listen to us, if you want to do the same. What was it? Crisis at Christmas?
Crisis at Christmas, yeah.
Because it is going to be a very, very cold one this year. So I'm genuinely welling up.
Oh, bless you.
Because that's a really lovely thing to do.
Oh.
So that, sir, is our Christmas carol, if you like.
Indeed.
And Carol didn't even turn up.
The cow.
What a bitch. So, sir, I will say to you, I will extend my hand and say Happy Christmas to you.
And to you, sir.
Much love to you and yours for the Christmas period.
Yep. And obviously to all our listeners, thank you very much for putting up with us throughout 2015. And we'll extend our Christmas greetings to all of you. We hope you have a great time over the festive period.
For it is the most wonderful time of the year.
Indeed it is.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Hey. Right, so that's all for this episode. So, for myself, Graham.
And myself, Scott.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.